So I was doing this coaching call with a record label from Europe, and we were chatting about how to get songs on Spotify playlists and how to pitch ourselves to curators. And he told me about this tool called Playlist Supply, which I had never heard of before. And there was like a lot of different like kind of tools out there that people have been using to find Spotify curators or playlists that you could pitch your new singles to. But this is one I hadn't heard of before. And so I was keen to check them out. And I actually tried them out for a recent campaign. So let me show you what I found. So if you want to check them out while I'm talking, it's playlistsupply.com. But let me tell you what's interesting. When you're in this game of like wanting to pitch yourself, you're a record label, or if you're an indie artist and you want to pitch your music to playlist curators or even blogs, a lot of people are looking for like the cheapest option and the easiest option. And I think Playlist Supply is relatively cheap compared to some of the other ones out there. But spoiler alert, it's not easy. I mean, getting the data is easy. But what I realized in this is that it requires you to do some legwork, which I think is important because so many of us are just looking for the easy way out. And I don't think that's where you're going to find success. A lot of us just want to be able to download like a list of like 1,000 curators and just send the same email to all of them. I just don't think that's a great strategy. And what I love about Playlist Supply is that it gives me all of this contact information of like super up-to-date and relevant curators and Spotify playlists. And then it's my responsibility to write an email to each one of them. Maybe I could put it all into one email, but it actually makes me do some of the legwork. And I'm going to show you what I mean. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. And I think too many of us are just throwing tons of money at some of the other platforms or even Submit Hub. And I just think there might be a better way just to be a little bit more strategic and intentional. So let me show you. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's pretty basic. It's not like overly sexy. It's really just there as a tool to help you get the information you need. So what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to create our own little spreadsheet of relevant playlists that are live on Spotify with a decent number of followers, exist within the genre that's relevant to whatever song we're going to promote. We're only going to look for playlists that have an email address, and then we're going to pitch our new song to those emails. Does that make sense? You're looking at two really simple fields. You're looking at keyword, and this is where you can write a genre or a niche genre like city pop or lo-fi folk or whatever it is for your record label. And then there's the search criteria, which means I want a playlist that has their Instagram profile because I want to send them a DM, which apparently I was talking to someone recently, like DMs are pretty successful. I ignore DMs when people send me DMs, but apparently people have been using DMs a lot to pitch themselves, which is fine. Okay, cool. Nothing means it'll just show you playlists that don't provide any contact info, but we don't want that today. Email is the most popular, and this is the one we're going to click on. So what this means is that we're looking for playlists that have their email listed somewhere in their bio or somewhere on the Spotify page. This is huge. So we might be missing out on some really big playlists, but that's okay. What we want to find is we want to find playlists that actually provide their email address because we want to contact them and we want to pitch them. So the song that I was promoting was kind of lo-fi folk. I don't know if I'm spelling that right, but let's just hit search and see what happens, okay? And remember, the criteria is email. So I want playlists that have lo-fi folk music or just folk music. We can do this multiple times, but we're gonna say lo-fi folk, and we want to be able to reach them by email. So let's go ahead and click search. Now, what's cool about this is it's live. It's actually pulling data from Spotify that's super live and super relevant today, which means that if it says it has 10,001 followers on a playlist, that's exactly the number it has. And it's refreshing that constantly. So, you know, in the old days when you used to get like one of those magazines and it had all this contact information for different writers at different newspapers or music magazines, well, chances are those would become irrelevant after a couple weeks or a couple months or a couple years. Even when you'd get a spreadsheet of all the staff members at Pitchfork or Rolling Stone, those would go out of date really fast. Well, this is live. This is data that they're pulling right now from Spotify. That's what's really cool. Okay, so with this like super specific niche genre, we've pulled up 10 playlists. Now, for some reason, some of them don't come through with email. I don't know why that happens, but that's okay. Here's some of the data that we can see from here. We see the name of the playlist, Lovely Lo-Fi Plus. That's cool. We see the followers, and in this case, 142. Then we see the tracks. There's 231 tracks. And we're going to talk about all these columns in a second. the owner. In some cases, we see that it's Spotify. On this one, India, Indie. Some links, we don't have social, not all of them have that, and then email. Okay, so let's click this one here and go sort by followers. And let's go up. Why are we doing that? Because the more followers, the better. Am I going to pitch to a playlist that has 5 followers? I'm probably not going to get many streams, if any, from that. So I guess I could include it in the email, but I'm not going to really bother. So here's a playlist. Let's ignore these first 2 because it's not relevant. It's Indie, India, and it's Spotify, and they don't have emails. So let's look at this one. TikTok Top 100 Viral Songs and Instrumental Music of 2022. 407 followers, 100 tracks. Also provides the URL for Spotify, which is nice. We can go and look at it if we want. And that's helpful too, because you could copy that URL, go over to Spotify, check out that playlist and go, yeah, actually my music matches some of the other artists on this playlist, or the opposite. This doesn't look like it's actually relevant to me, and I'm not going to waste my time pitching to it. So you see what I mean, that you have to do a little bit of legwork? Like, we're doing some research right now, and I'm going to show you what I would suggest you do with this data in a second. But basically, we have to do a little bit of legwork, and that's okay. That's our jobs. But what's nice is that once we pick the playlist that we want to contact, we don't have to pay to pitch to each one of these playlists, whereas you would have to on something like Submit Hub. So that's kind of cool. Now, as you can just see, something happened where they added 3 more playlists. So I think it's like constantly grabbing more information, which is kind of cool. So let's resort. Let's close this here and let's resort. And let's look at somebody that we might want to pitch to. So here's one, Lovely Lo-Fi, Hank's Playlists at gmail.com. So I've just clicked on one that we found here. This is Lovely Lo-Fi Plus. Okay, I just listened to a track and yeah, that's relevant. That sounds like the music that I'll be pitching. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, this looks okay. One of the problems is it's got a lot of songs. Here's the other thing. Let's just double check when the last time they updated this playlist. 1 day ago. Okay, so that means that the playlist is currently being updated. That's great. They've added songs as early as yesterday. The music matches my music. Okay, great. So that's all good things. And they have 142 followers. Good to know. So let's go back to them. Where was that? Oh, look, more have been added. I don't know why it kind of loads slowly like that, but it's kind of cool. So right here, this Hank's playlist, we know that this is one that's relevant to us. So now that we have all of this coming in, let's go ahead and download this. We might save it to my playlist database as well, which is cool. But let's download it as an Excel file. Okay, so now we're given this. It's all sorted by followers, which is really nice. Let's take a look at here. Okay, so now we have all this information in an Excel file. So out of this whole playlist, we know that this Hank's playlists is definitely one we want to pitch to. So here's what we're going to do. This is what I would suggest you do. Like I said, Playlist Supply provides you with all of the playlists that you could ever want to contact, but it's up to you to decide which ones you're going to contact, and it's up to you to kind of organize the ones that are most relevant to you. Because this is pulling down like data from almost every playlist on Spotify, some of them are just not going to be relevant to you, and you don't want to pitch to all of them. So here's what I would suggest. We create a brand new spreadsheet, and we're going to add all of these relevant ones to my new spreadsheet. And you could do this if you're a record label for each artist on your label, because each artist is going to have like slightly different relevant genres, right? So going back to this spreadsheet, let's take a look at this one here. We just want to make sure that we're pitching to ones that have emails. I just realized I think you want to click exact search. So I've redone this because I think that will help me not get any like extra playlists. Like I just want lo-fi folk playlists that have emails. So I think that's going to help refine a little bit better because I don't want to be confused, right? Okay, I don't know if this is relevant, but maybe I'll pitch to them. I don't think it is, but I've got the email here. So let's go back to our Excel documents. And let's find that VGM because we have his email, and let's copy that and let's add that to our list. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep doing more and more searches with more and more relevant titles, with more and more relevant search descriptions, and I'm going to try to build up my own spreadsheet, and then I'm going to email these curators. Okay, so in this example, I've searched folk and I've searched email, and now it's bringing up tons. And so I can search by followers again. And look at all these emails that I have. Now, I could just completely like spam all of these emails at once, or I could go through each playlist and listen to them and check if it's relevant. So back when I was using this tool for my own campaign for a single I had coming out, I did this with so many different genres, and I created a nice little list of relevant playlists that I thought would appreciate my new single. I took all of those emails and I copied them into just one single email. Now, you could email each individual curator on its own, but I didn't think that was really necessary. Instead, if you see here, I copied about 50 different curators into the same email, and then I pitched my album. I pitched the new album and I pitched the new single, and I sent the email. And over the next couple of days and even the next couple of weeks, I started to hear back from people. And I would say I probably got on about 5 to 10 playlists because of this. Now, one thing that's interesting is that I did hear back immediately from quite a few playlists who offer like a pay per play type of situation. Now, this isn't Playlist Supply's fault in any way, but these are playlist curators who have a bit of a business going on. I didn't do any of that because I wasn't sure if it was going to be worth it. If they're charging money for songs to be on there, then that might mean that they're not as well curated as it could be. And it could mean that some of the playlist followers are either not listening to the playlist or maybe they're not even real in the first place. So I got pitched a lot of opportunities for like 40 or 50 bucks or 25 bucks or 100 bucks to have my song included on a playlist of my choosing. I didn't go down that route because I just did not trust it, and it's not really the way I like to play. However, out of maybe 40, 50, 60, however many emails you see here, I was contacted and placed for free on a bunch of different playlists, and some of them turned out really well. Others maybe got 5 or 6 plays here and there. But I really like this tool for the reason that it would be impossible for me to search Spotify for all the different user-generated playlists that are relevant to my music and then find out which ones have Instagram accounts or which ones have emails. It would take me hours upon days and weeks and weeks. And so if I'm a record label and I'm trying to promote a new lo-fi hip-hop track a couple days before it comes out, this tool will find me playlists really quickly, and specifically playlists that have emails that I can pitch to or Instagram accounts that I can pitch to. So that's super helpful. That's what I really like about this tool. But it requires you to do the legwork. That's okay. That's our job. That's part of it. This is a tool that just makes our job a little bit easier. Is this like an all-in-one tool that you can just type in a bunch of things and bam, you get 1 million streams and 100 awesome playlists? No, and I don't think that tool exists. And if someone's selling you that tool, stay away. But this is a tool that's going to help us do our job a lot better. I'm excited to use it on future releases. If you have a really specific genre, I think it's going to be really cool because you're going to be able to like cut through a lot of the noise and find some playlists that are really special, that have some real diehard listeners, that is updated frequently, and that has a contact info where you can say, hey, I think my song would be really relevant to your playlist. Now, based on this email here, you can see that I kind of threw some things at the wall just to see if anything sticks. You could be a little bit more intentional and a little bit more strategic than me. You could listen to some of these playlists and say, I think this specific song would fit really well on your playlist. This might also be a great way for you to start building a relationship with some of these curators where you get to the point where you say, hey, Hank, thanks for including the song on your playlist a couple months ago. The same artist has a new single out. I think you'll also like this one. And you can start to build some human-to-human contact, which I think is harder to do when you're just trying to pitch to millions of playlists at once. There's other really cool things you can do by saying, let's say I were to do like an indie folk artist like Bon Iver, and then we're going to say similar artists and the emails. So I'm saying I want playlists that have Bon Iver on it, but I also, those playlists have to have an email that I can contact. I hope you found this helpful. I really like this tool. I think it's really cool. Check the link in the description below or go to playlistsupply.com. If you've ever used this tool or if you're curious about it, I want to hear your experiences in the comments below. Go to playlistsupply.com, try it out, and let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching.